What made a best friend / friend immediately not your friend? She told me that she liked my boyfriend and that it was selfish I didn't let her have a chance with him. I had no idea she liked him, and also she didn't even meet him until after we started dating was with a friend and stopped to pick up some weed unbeknownst to me. He also scored a gram of coke. We're walking away when a cop comes around the corner, so he shoves his shit into my hand and walks away briskly. Cop had no interest in us but still, fuck that guy with a cactus. Back in high school I had this best friend who was like my sister. Most days during the summer, I was either staying at her house or she was staying at mine. We even had sleepovers on school days. But then she started getting close to this other girl, whose BF was cheating on her with my best friend. Anyways, my best friend became pretty two-faced. She'd go on and on about how much she didn't like this other girl, but kept cancelling plans between us to go hang out with this other girl. I went away to camp for a week, and we had plans to hang out at my house. When I got back, once again, she cancelled to hang out with the other girl. I was upset of course. A couple days later, they call me and start harassing me on social media, and my best friend admitted to stealing a necklace of mine that had been a gift and said she just purposefully broke it. I cut her off completely after that. He slept with my girlfriend. Happened like 20 years ago. Haven't spoke to either of them since then. He ended up knocking her up, marrying her, and then she cheated on him, and they divorced. So it turned out to be a good thing, but man it sucked at the time. This happened years ago back in 8th grade. He called me a red Jew. The red part one understood. I had red hair. The odd part was that he is half Jewish, non-practicing. The insult was nonsensical, but he was implying that my family didn't have any money. His parents were well off, but not super rich by any means. The incident occurred when we were in a store and I was considering a purchase that would leave me with very little money for the rest of the week. Not a big deal, but I was just being careful. It was just the latest in a series of insults. I was done with him and basically stopped hanging out with him after that point. I'll answer my own post. Pretty much the reason why I made this. So I worked at this factory for about 6 months and I met this girl and we instantly hit it off. At this point, no, I did not like her like that, but we were just going through some of the same things as far as depression and things like that. We pretty much had the same childhood and experiences. Well, one night she has a depressive episode which results her attempting suicide. I end up spending the entire night talking her down. Fast forward like 2 weeks after, and she's on Zoloft and various other mood stabilizers. Then lo and behold she finds a boyfriend. Immediately cut me off, cut off all contact. And not to mention by this point I got fired from the job because of some shady practices by the company. And she was not there like I was for her. Really had me low for several months afterward. Opened my eyes up for the first time that not everybody's going to be your friend. When she convinced everyone that I assaulted her in the locker room behind my back. She also outed me as a lesbian behind my back, which I'm not. And nothing wrong if you are, but it's a shit move to out someone no matter what. I only heard about this a year after it happened. Explained why suddenly everyone started avoiding me. Okay, this is a lot, but I need to vent. A girl I was actually just talking about in another thread. She'd been one of my closest friends for almost a year. My husband and I have been in a difficult place for a while now and started discussing separation. And I had tried to talk to her about the struggle a few times, and I noticed she really didn't know how to handle it, would often just sort of listen then change the subject to like what she cooked her boyfriend for dinner. But we stopped being friends when she sent me the heinous email about my situation. It had tons of spelling and grammar errors, and it felt really manipulative and mean-spirited. I genuinely think she felt that if my husband and I broke up, it would elevate her and her boyfriend's status in our circle. It was so condescending. I went to spend some time with family, and she offered to spy for me, which I had hoped meant she would give me general updates, like I saw him today, and he seemed like he was doing okay, he's still eating, and the house hasn't fallen apart, and your cat is still alive. What it actually meant was a continual flow of messages about how he's never been so happy or healthy in his life. Categorically untrue, that he didn't seem to miss me, and she sent photos of her and her boyfriend going out to eat and hike with him. I asked her to stop, then avoided her for a few weeks. But she is really clingy with her boyfriend, so anytime he came over to pick something up, or whatever, she would come. I wasn't ready to be around her yet, husband and I were still tenuous, so I avoided her. Then, without saying anything, she blocks me on every platform. She still plays video games and posts in our game Discord, but refuses to acknowledge me. Since then, a lot of people have come out to say that she has been talking shit about me the entire time we've been friends. I make a lot of jokes about how awesome she is, coupled with self-deprecating humor, but she should have known better to take that to other people and keep it going, saying that I can't cook for shit, I'm irresponsible and not a good wife, etc. When I was 15 my dad got really sick with cancer. My parents were split up, so I'd spend half of my time with mom and half with my dad. The day my dad passed, I was on my mom's day and was hanging out at a friend's house. We were all playing Tony Hawk and my friend's mom comes in and tells me that someone was on the phone. It was my mom. My mom had called to inform me my pops had died and she was coming over to get me. I put the phone down in shock and started to cry. My friends looked at me and asked me what was wrong. I told them, and they politely said sorry, shrugged and then just turned around and kept playing Tony Hawk. I walked outside, sat on the curb crying alone waiting for my mom. I felt pretty isolated, but it was also this amazing moment of clarity. It was at that moment I knew I could no longer be friends with those guys and I needed to seek out people with larger emotional abilities. I did in fact, and some of those guys are still my best friends 20 years later. I've known her for 20 plus years. I knew her when she was a strong independent woman who had her crap together and knew what she wanted in life. Then she got married. Her husband has a problem with gambling and they were evicted twice in 4 months. She ended up in a women's shelter with their kids. He sometimes sleeps at the men's shelter, but more often than not, he blows his paychecks on hotels. I finally had to break it off for my own sanity because she refuses to make any changes. She's been at the shelter for over a year. Won't get a job, won't leave him. Our conversations became all about how horrible he was, but how she couldn't do anything without him. Then she got pregnant with #5, after not even wanting #4. She consistently plays the victim, but doesn't ever do anything to get out of her situations. I miss the way she was. Friend was a desperate attention seeker. Even admitted one time that's difficult to phrase. He said, if I don't get people attention, then, off draw's face we went in a New Year break with friends, and I brought one of my other friends along that was not part of the group. I could tell he was in a huff. Essentially a bit of a control freak or narcissus. Knowing that the group would follow him around he decided to act up and say I'm going to charge these drinks to your room. I told him to fuck off. Lo and behold the rest followed suit by charging drinks to my room. Come check out time I was presented with a bill, told reception I ain't paying. That my friend that I brought along told me straight out, if you pay, that I will kill you myself. Ex-friend who started it all went in a huff and started rousing problems. Essentially told him that's it, finished. Been friends with other friend for almost 18 years now. Good guy. Have now learned to spot attention seekers and avoid like the plague. I'm a really socially and emotionally immature person. I don't really know how to properly handle people or my feelings or things like that. I'm also a huge romantic, and I kinda live in my own head, all of which is a very not good combination. A while ago I had a really good friend who I had developed strong feelings for. I'd talked to some of my other female friends about it, and they'd egg me on hard. In hindsight I think they basically saw me as their personal live action romantic drama more or less, and so I thought that my escalating feelings were totally normal and healthy. They definitely weren't, and as a result it completely annihilated that friendship I had, and it similarly wrecked me inside. I tried talking to those same friends about it, and for the most part, after the initial man that sucks mate, they just told me I'm being ridiculous and need to get over it. Haven't talked to one of them since. That was plenty for me to completely lose any trust in any kind of relationship with them. He was my best friend in the world. We were like brothers. Then, I found CP on his hard drive. I nearly killed him. I had a knife to his stomach. It was that day I found out what the figure of expression to see red meant. All I could feel was this overwhelming rage. It's my greatest regret I wasn't more clear-headed. I was on a lot of Adderall and wasn't thinking straight. I should have just gone to the cops. But after holding the knife to his stomach, I was afraid I was going to get arrested for assault or attempted murder. So it became this fucked up stalemate where I just wanted nothing to do with him. I told people in our circle of friends about it, and that circle of friends promptly imploded. My own mother took that sick son of a bitch's side. Years of knowing someone, loving them like a brother. I was closer to him than my own sister. We had been through thick and thin. I had known him for I think 8 years at that point. All gone in an instant, replaced by fiery rage. Sometimes in my darker moments of reflection, I wonder if I should have killed him. I don't know if he's out there hurting kids. But I know in my heart what I should have done is immediately have gone to the fucking cops.